There are 5 things that students don't really know about thesis writing. And the first thing is something that has to do with bibliography and how to collect it. You perhaps collect your bibliography just using library catalog. And then you collect items from the bibliographies in the books that you discovered in the library catalog. This is the common way to proceed with the bibliographies, but this is not the most convenient one, and it's not the quickest one, and it's not certainly the best. There is another way how to collect your bibliography, and this way is using the electronic digital online bibliographies. I imagine that there are some in your field. In my field, which is theology and religious studies, there are quite many, and I put some of them in the description box. I usually prefer Index Theologicus, German one. This one is the biggest and most, I think, comprehensive. It's not necessarily to use my bibliographies, but you can find your own, that's for sure. So you just simply should use keywords for the your bibliography search. So these bibliographies are searchable, or you can search by author or theme or whatever, and even by the title of the book. That's the point. Use these bibliographies instead of your usual search in the library catalog. Apart from that, you can also use the bibliographies in encyclopedias, dictionaries, and handbooks. These are also devised to assist you in your research. If you just began your research and you try to familiarize yourself in your field, I think to look at the encyclopedias, at the entries that are existing in the encyclopedias on your topic, I think it's a good idea just to have this in mind. Apart from that, encyclopedias provide some bibliography lists. After each entry, you may find some bibliographies. But again, use only the newest books, the newest encyclopedias and dictionaries, because as you may imagine, these books grow old, and the bibliographies in them also grow old. Another thing that students don't really know about while writing their thesis is the fact that in their own universities, not on YouTube, in their own universities, there are people who can help you. These people, they are not their supervisors, or they are not examiners or any professors at the faculty, but they also can help you, of course, but they are people who work in the library. These are subject librarians. So every faculty has its own library, and every library has its subject librarian. The subject librarian is not just a person who kind of an administrator in the library, who is responsible for the life of the library, for the purchase of books and stuff like that. But this person actually is there to help you in your research. Especially on the initial stage, then you're trying to organize your research, to find literature, to find sources, to collect bibliography, to do the literature review. This is something that a subject librarian can assist you. So check your library's webpage and find who is the subject librarian in your library, and just write them a message asking for appointment or a chat or whatever, and just discuss with them your problems on your initial stage. Especially it's good if you are hesitant to ask these things to your supervisor, because I imagine it's not always easy to show yourself as a vulnerable, ignorant person to someone who will assess you in a way, because a supervisor is someone who certainly will assess your work. But the subject librarian is someone external in a way, but at the same time, all subject librarians has PhDs. So they also, in a way, they have the same level of education as your professor. The third thing that students don't really know about thesis writing is the fact that their professor, their supervisor won't help them. So your professor won't help you because perhaps they are absolutely dumb in your topic. That's a hard truth. So this means that entire research, all your analysis, you should do on your own. It's your responsibility, and your professor won't help you with this part of the job. Your professor may help you with the academic part of the job, like academic writing, structuring your thesis. Maybe he also help you as an external reader whose specialization is differs from yours. Professors usually have their own much narrower, let's say, specialization. Their research is a much narrower field than the field that they are teaching, for instance. So they may teach on broader topics, but their research is much narrower. So imagine if your professor is a specialist on Shakespeare. This doesn't mean that they know all the minor playwriters of the time of Shakespeare. They heard about them, they probably read about them, but they didn't do research on them. This is you who will do the research on one of these minor playwriters. Your professor may help you in a way that they usually know the historical context. They may help you in a way how your research relates to their own research. This one thing. Another thing, of course, they will correct your stuff that you wrote to them. But the thing is that they won't do your analysis for you. That's your responsibility. They may also correct, of course, things that seems odd to them. This is the point, basically. The fourth thing that you probably don't know about thesis writing is the fact that neither your supervisor nor your examiners won't read your work carefully with attention to all the intricacies of your argument. No. So this means that you should write your argument clearly. And this clarity is something very specific. And I'm not talking about difficult terminology that you may use and you should clarify for sure for the people from other fields. But I'm talking about the way how you organize your writing. I noticed that many of us, and like us, me included, write for ourselves. So basically, we write as assuming that other people know the same thing as we know. But we did the research, and there are things that are obvious for us and not obvious for others. In the previous video, I put it somewhere over here, or maybe over here, so I don't know where it appears. Basically, in the previous video, I mentioned and gave some examples of what it looks like, this unclarity, this vagueness in the argument. Then a person assumes that the readers actually know as much as she or he knows. So this means that it's very complex thing, and I will make more videos on that, on how to write clearly and understandably. It doesn't come that easy, so it needs training and it needs editing. Basically, this clarity is gained by editing on the editing stage. But The thing is that if you are not trained, you can do your editing stage poorly. This means that there are many things that pass through the editing stage unnoticed. This is what happens in case of many students, and me included again. What I mean by all this, actually, just to give you an example, I've recently corrected an article of a postgraduate student, and he had something very strange in some strange references, let's say. So, for instance, he mentioned on one page that his author about whom he was writing was not happy with the attitude of great many people who freed their slaves. That one thing. It was on one page. On the next page, somewhere in the middle of it, so it's almost like a page after, I encountered the expression, the attitude of these people. The attitude of these people. Clearly, for me, who read attentively, because I was a corrector, so I basically correcting many, like I did line editing for him. But the thing is that that expression, the attitude of these people, refers to that great many people from the page before. And in this way, it remains unclear for external reader who was not that careful as me at that point, who this great many people, because he or she, the reader, already forgot about the great many people from the page before, and these people appear here, and who they are, what it is. So be careful with these things, and just clarify each time you want to refer to a certain idea or something that you mentioned before. So you clearly refer to this thing, either repeating the expression that you used before or maybe paraphrasing the expression in a way, but just make it clearly to whom or to what you're referring in your own text. Other things relate to the use of some words like on one hand, on the other hand. These two kind of oppositions, they usually used in one paragraph or in the two neighboring paragraphs. They are not used on a separate pages. I had it in that article. On one page we have on the one hand, and a page after on the other hand. I already forgot where the on the one hand was, and here it is on the other hand. So be careful with these things as well. So it's just a matter of editing. And eventually we came to the final point, that the final thing that you probably may not know about thesis writing is the fact that there are no rules. And this is a good news. You probably, your entire BA postgraduate trajectory, heard that you should structure your essay, you should have introduction, you have main text, you have conclusion. But the thing is that this structuring you also gain during editing, so final stage, editing stage. Then you write, and then you research first and you write. You can write whatever you want and how you want. If you want to write the research that you've done for the third chapter first, write it first. If you want to write, start with the first chapter, start with the first chapter. I did it poorly, so I just did it as like I should do. First chapter, second chapter, third chapter, even if I wanted with all my heart, did the third chapter first, or second at least, or at the same time with the second. I, anyway, spent quite a lot of time on the second chapter and basically left a little for the final chapter. So you are free to work on your thesis in a way as you wish to do. You only need to have this structure. introduction, chapters, and conclusion at the end as the end result. It's not necessarily to do it the way how you will write it at the end, right? So never start with introduction. It's my advice. Introduction usually is written after you did the entire research. You may correct your research questions, your methodology, even your the state of research, the way how you indicate a lacuna, your contribution, and especially your contribution, because you don't know what your contribution is before you did your entire research, right? So consider to work on your own in your own way. If you're a chaotic person, if you're especially a neurodivergent person, do whatever you want. If you want to work on everything at once, work at everything at once. Write things down, has a lot of messy notes. But then at the editing stage, you will put this messy notes in the pure Word page, Word file, and arrange it as you need. So that's good news, and I hope it will help you on your thesis journey. I will do more videos on thesis writing, so stay tuned and see ya.